This is, I call this the art of entering a building, and I specifically put this slide in here for Victor. We always ask, how do you get into the building? Walk me through. So I kept the colors the same from that activity, the cultural activities. So this is the public, semi-public entrance, these yellow zones. That's how somebody would enter your house. They would, remember it's gutted, so the doors are removed. They would just come in, and there's privacy screens, which I've shown here as an example, what types of materials they could be. So rather than putting bars on the windows and doors permanently fixed, these would be more of a hinged screen system, steel, or there's a recycled rubber material that could be used, creating those private spaces. They would go on the edges and in the middle here. That could be one way you enter the building, the public. Then there's the private or semi-private area, which would more than likely be locked or shut every night and may be opened up for sure on the weekends or during popular times. And then there's the semi-private entrance or the rear entrance, which would be through the garden. So once you go through those areas, you come up to the the steps here to a deck, into the living area, and it's an open plan, so it's straight through from the living room to the kitchen. And then you also have a kitchen terrace on front, which would have a nice view out of the existing building's windows. And then you go up this series of steps to a landing, and then into the bedroom area. The bedroom is also an open plan. It opens up right into the bathroom, which has a large picture window which looks out to that sculptural part of the old building and also out the windows and down to the street, so you can get a nice view there. And then you can go up one more level to a landing and to the roof deck, which we're bringing out right here, and then you have the view south with up towards the city, so you have a nice city skyline. These are the elevations. The front elevation, so you can see that existing facade stays as is, other than some brick pointing and cleaning. And once all the windows and doors are removed, it would be very red brick, Philadelphia red brick, sculptural-like. And then you can see those new buildings, the modular units popping through. I will not need a variance because I've kept it at 36 feet right to where that peak is on the tower. This is the rear view. Now you can see this is the part of the buildings that were removed. They're inserted in there, pretty much fits. There's about 18 inches on both sides, on either side, which gives you enough buffer to get those in there with the crane. And then where we're taking out structure, we're reinforcing with some tension cables and some steel plates that go along there. They'll keep it nice and tight so you won't have any problem with that. Even though this wall in the back here is not holding up much, it's still, you want it to stay. And this is how you would enter the building from the rear. So these are that semi-private entrance back here. Each one of these is a well that goes back about 30 feet, and then they would cut off and make a T to enter either this. So if you were going to enter here, you could go in and up that way or up that way. Here's the building section. Now you can see these units are 12 by 12 square and then brought in with the crane and just assembled in pieces. Here's that kitchen terrace and the rear deck. These walls are a nice place that you could have an artist do some murals there. From the roof garden, some ivy growing down the sides of the old buildings, really trying to harness that charm of the old building, because the prefab portions are very sleek. They'll need a little bit of encouragement. So I think when you bring those two together, I've shown a little section through the wall section how the shotcrete works. It's basically 2 inches of concrete blown over top of hog wire, and then to make those reinforce the columns, you put some rebar in there, and they blow it all in the site, on site. Here's a perspective looking at the building. This is that private entrance, the public, the roof gardens. This shows how the screens could work that I had in the previous slide. And you can also see straight through that whole micro street that's going to be created. This is the existing building. You can see some choices on skins. In this rendering, I've done a Corten steel, but you could easily do a painted perforated steel. This is a product I especially like. It's a recycled rubber material. Since they're built off-site, I tried to get materials that during shipping, if they were banged around or damaged in any way, they would really affect the general look. So the rubber helps that out a lot, so you can bang it around, and they're easy to replace. They come in 2x4 panels. This is an interior perspective. Some of the choices I chose, this is from the bedroom looking out that picture window. You can see that's the old building and the ivy growing down the side. I've used periodically through the plan portions of the old building. This is Philadelphia red brick. It's sought after for its beauty. So I've decided to put those in spaces where they could be dry stacked throughout the site. In this case, I've used it as a separation wall in between the bathroom and the bedroom, but it's also doing some passive cooling and heating through that window. The sun would come in and use thermal mass to store that energy so it doesn't get too hot in the, but also warm it up in the wintertime because I have a bathtub right behind there, and we'll need to keep that warm. So you see these materials coming together. The recycled brick, this is a masonite, an oiled masonite product. There again, it gets banged around and it, does it. If it scratches, it just you put a little bit more oil on it and it brings the charm out. And then bamboo strip flooring there again, very durable, easy to replace. These are the pro forma numbers I worked up. I used the highest possible numbers I could think, which was $75 for a prefab unit. Is pretty expensive, and high-low numbers. So the shock treating, I think, it quotes at $130 to $150 a cubic yard. I've done the 150 cubic yard. In the end, the total price comes out to $576,200 for the whole row. That's 7 houses, 4 one-bedroom and 5 one-bedroom and 2 two-bedroom apartments. That works out to about $62,000 for a one-bedroom apartment and $92,000 for a two-bedroom apartment.